not a ton of rain, and even many folks north will not see a drop of rain. So don't look at this as a rain chance for everybody or even a wet weekend. It really is isolated, and I'll show you why here in a minute. Sunday, there's a Y missing, sunny and nice. Next week, mild and not humid for the start of summer. And yes, summer does technically start on Monday. So what's heading our way? Well, we've got a stalled front. It's the same front that dried us out from all the crazy humidity yesterday and actually gave us a beautiful day today. If you spent time outside, it was absolutely amazing. Low humidity, very comfortable. But that stalled front, as you can see, is trying to sneak back north as a warm front. So the humidity is increasing, the clouds are thickening up, and we're eventually going to see some showers, but not everywhere. You see temperatures, very pleasant, low to mid 80s. Sun doesn't set for another 2 hours, so we've got plenty of daylight. But the humidity is starting to creep back up. If you look south and west, from basically Morganton to Lincolnton to Charlotte, Monroe South, dew points are already in the low to mid 60s. That's an increase of about 5 or 6 degrees from this morning and even this afternoon when dew points were in the 40s and 50s. So we're starting to see the stickiness return. So overnight, we're going to introduce at least a pop-up shower thunderstorm, 30%, nothing huge. Temperatures, though, look at that, near 70, so not very cool tonight. Tomorrow, we'll climb up into the low and mid 80s. That's with some clouds and some showers early, but then some sun in the afternoon. But that 40% is about it. It certainly doesn't look to be anything that would wash out any major plans. I just updated this because the rain chances overall are pretty minimal tomorrow. I mean, 20, 30% maybe for the first half of the day. And again, this is not a rain chance I would be changing my plans for. And now, what is it going to look like? So let's start tonight. You can see the 80s. We'll go into early morning hours. I'll stop at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So most areas are dry. We have a few showers over towards Asheville, some down in the Midlands. Definitely a few sprinkles around. We'll go to about 1 p.m. You see a backdoor front dropping in, so some storms bubble up along the state line, but north, nothing. So if you're in places like Morganton, Hickory, Statesville, even the Lake Norman area, you probably aren't going to see any rain at all. And even around Charlotte, the chance is pretty minimal because once those showers move out, we're completely dry by late evening. So all in all, I mean, that's it. That is not a huge rain chance. The northeast winds pick up Sunday, so we get much cooler air moving in and really a beautiful Sunday with temperatures only in the 70s. Now, that same front will try to push back north as a warm front again on Monday, so you'll see another round of some isolated storms developing Monday afternoon. That actually looks like a higher chance of rain than anything this weekend. So if you're heading up to Uptown on Sunday, U.S. men's national team taking on Senegal, the first friendly match. They're kind of pre-World Cup warm-up games. After the team was announced, it should be a great venue for this. 3:30 kick. Now, I had someone comment on my Instagram post on this, and they were exactly right. It's hard to imagine we're going to get mid-70s for a 3:30 game at the end of May in Charlotte, but and without it being rainy. This is amazing, really, weather for this game. So I think that's going to be hot. And if you're going to that game, that is a great. Senegal is a very good side. I think their World FIFA ranking is a couple above us. I think we're ranked 14th. Sean, what is their ranking? Do you know offhand? I think Senegal's like 14th and U.S. is like 13th or something. We're really close. I mean,
but I'm pretty sure they're above. They're the highest ranking African nation.
Yeah, I know. I think they are ranked just above us.
Because they won the African Cup or whatever.
Yeah, they're really good. And that's the thing. I think if you're going in this game, you're going to see a lot of skill out there for this game. So I'm really excited to watch this game, which I think is streaming on HBO Max. I'll see if I can, because I have to work. I can't even go to the game, so I'm kind of bummed. Rainfall-wise, though, if you are worried about any more rain in the next 7 days, don't, because there's not a lot. In fact, this is why we wanted to see more rain with the drought ongoing, because we got to keep this trend going. This is below 1 inch, so we're actually going to probably back up a little. Not that I think this is going to be too crazy, but we're not going to help the drought in the next 7 days, is basically what I'm saying. Now, the flip side of that is, even though we're not going to get rain, we're actually going to get some very comfortable air. Dew points are going to be in the 40s, maybe 50s for most of next week, and that's almost unheard of in the summertime, and especially early June. So soak that in. Now, if you're going to be spending time outside, cookouts, Whitewater Center. There's a lot of activities going on. If you're going to the game, I might grab the bug spray because the Skeeter meter is going to be at the first time all year in the yuck range. And that's partly because we just had all that rain. We're a week removed. Remember, it really started last Thursday. So it's over a week away, and that's about the hatching timeline or the life cycle of those mosquitoes laying some eggs and some of that standing water last week. They should all be hatching about now, and calm wind. So if you ever wonder what are the metrics for this, obviously a lot of rainfall or at least standing water for mosquitoes to reproduce, but also light winds. Mosquitoes are very weak flyers. They like light winds. So when it's not breezy, they're very active. That's why in the mornings and the evenings, you see the worst mosquitoes because that's usually when we have the lightest winds. So your weekend forecast, we'll look at Saturday. Hey, again, pop-up shower, possibly in the morning, but it's really a pretty dry forecast on Saturday. And then Sunday, really great weather. I mean, I'm going to love Sunday. I'm going to spend some time outside before I come into work. Here's a look at your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Monday is the beginning of summer, meteorologically. I know that's always a debate online. People think their calendar shows them the start of summer. That's the astronomical beginning of summer. That's only has to do with astronomy. That has nothing to do with weather and climate. For weather and climate purposes, June 1st is the beginning of summer, our whole month seasons. That's the way we keep records. And we always have since the 1850s, so that is not new. It's just wasn't taught in school to many folks. The astronomical seasons were. Your 10-day forecast shows, temperatures staying pretty mild next week, low to mid 80s. What you don't see there is very low humidity until we get to next weekend. Next weekend is when we start to see the humidity start to creep back up. That's also when we'll probably start to see a pop-up shower, maybe a thunderstorm or two on Saturday or Sunday. So just a heads up, it is going to come back at some point, that heat and humidity. And speaking of the long range, we can look at the 6 to 10 day outlook. Now that June is kind of in our focus, looks like it's trending above average once we get past the beginning of next week. And from a rainfall standpoint, we hope this stays wet, but right now, not looking at any significant rainfall for our area. It looks like it's going to be off to the west, so maybe hot and dry as we get into June. All right, so stick around. It's a Friday evening. Tim Buckley's going to join me coming up in about 2.5 minutes. We'll talk about the weekend forecast, talk a little about the drought. We'll talk about the blue moon as well. That's coming up this weekend, so stick around.
Weather Impact Live with Brad Panovich is sponsored by Moisture Lock, crawl space, basement, and foundation repair experts serving the Carolinas since 1988.
Tired of all this rain? Does your yard look like a swamp after it rains? Hi, I'm Greg Doggett with Moisture Lock, Charlotte's premier waterproofing and foundation repair company. The longer water sits, the softer soil will become. This can cause foundation issues. If you're having drainage issues, contact Moisture Lock. We'll get the water away from your home and out of your yard.
Moisture Lock, stabilize, enhance, protect.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I lied to you. Tim is off today. I forgot we have Alex in today, so you guys know Alex. Alex, good to see you. How you doing? Welcome to Friday, the start of the weekend for many folks, and I think everybody turns their attention to the weekend, sometimes earlier than Friday, but especially this time of year as the weather warms up. There's so many things going on outside. I think the weather becomes a bigger story every weekend as we get into the summer months.
Oh, 100%, right? We've had the kind of unofficial start to summer, and now people are just eyeing the weekends as we get closer and closer to the summer months. And, you know, the beach water right now, upper 70s, that's pretty fantastic. So that's encouraging to go to the beach or even go to the mountains. I think one of the things that I was talking about in kind of our vertical videos that we do is you might want to go chasing some waterfalls this weekend. You got a little bit more stream flow because of all of the rainfall.
Yeah, we actually, Tim and I talked about that yesterday, that we were happy that we got some rain because the waterfalls are actually going to be pretty vivid right now. And the summer is a big time to go hiking in the mountains, and we have some amazing waterfalls, especially the southwestern part of the state. And there's some up towards Stone Mountain and South Mountain State Park, which is a little closer to us. There are so many great waterfall hikes, but you need rainfall to get those waterfalls. And I did see, Alex, some of them around the Linville area, Banner Rock. I saw a couple posts from some of the tourism boards up there saying, those trails are open now, and there is water going over the falls. So I think that's a great tip, especially with a somewhat coolish weekend to be going up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Escape to the mountains, escape to the shore, or just stay here at home. It should be a fairly nice weekend.
Yeah, so as the weekend approaches, we got to talk about some rain chances. Everybody, I got a bazillion questions the last 24 hours. People worried about, all this rain on Saturday. And I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be that big of a deal. I think last weekend kind of ruined people a little bit. They think that's every weekend it's going to be like that. But even for us, we have higher chances than you guys. And even in our area, Alex, I'm saying the further south you go, the better chance you have to see rain. But really, I think north of the state line, it's pretty hit or miss. Some folks are not going to see a single drop this weekend, especially as you get north of Interstate 40.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. We've got an interesting setup. You've got that stationary boundary that's trying to lazily lift northward, and then it's going to encounter that secondary front, that northeast wind push that's going to try to push it back further to the south. So that's kind of why I think the rain chances stay so limited and kind of concentrated to the south along that secondary boundary. And I don't think there'll be much rain chances firing off of that second front because we're just so dry. So there's not a lot of moisture for it to work with.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, we were already starting to get some of the clouds, you know, and if you ever wonder, like, when is a system heading your way, those high clouds are like the first sign, right? You know, sometimes if there's a full moon or a halo around the moon or around the sun, you kind of know, hey, there's something heading our way. And you could see tonight that warm, it acts as a warm front now, buckles back north. But as you mentioned, Alex, it's like it's a race between this other backdoor front and that old stationary front. And at some point, it looks like midday tomorrow, the stationary front gets clobbered by that northeast wind and that backdoor front, and it just kind of slams the door on any more progress and pushes it back south. So I think there's a very small window for us in Charlotte to see rain. It's basically from sunrise to maybe lunchtime, and that's it. And then it's like done. So if you have afternoon or evening plans, you're probably fine. And even in the morning, like I said, it's kind of hit or miss. I'm really curious to see how cool some of these nights could be, though, especially up your way, because that northeast wind brings in some pretty dry air. And I said this a couple times, the fact that we're going into June and we could be talking about like 50s for lows, that's almost unheard of in the summertime around here.
Yeah, it's really nice, and that's why I've just been stressing here. You know, I'm sure you've been stressing the same thing. Get outside, enjoy it while we still can, because this is unusual for this time of year to be this dry with the air.
Yeah, I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to try to hit the golf course next week. Try to get outside as much as possible. I know, Alex, you're a big runner. I like to run as well. I ran yesterday, which was a mistake. It was brutal. It was so muggy out. And today I did a little bit of running. It was the night and day difference in humidity levels. It's like you feel like I have a second wind when it's so dry. And so I think you're right. For everybody who was trying to get stuff done last weekend, maybe got rained out, or you have yard work. Now we're actually having to mow our grass because we're getting some rain. The next several days could be absolutely the day to get those big projects done outside.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're talking very, very humid air, there's less availability for those oxygen molecules. So your lungs have to work harder, your heart has to work harder, and that's why, they say back off your pace by quite a bit, whether you're biking, whether you're running, because your body has to work harder. Now, with it being, a little drier outside, that humidity, it doesn't have to work as hard. So you can actually enjoy and keep your normal pace going.
Yeah, I can tell the difference immediately when you're out there. Yeah, it is night and day, and you can see Sunday morning, that backdoor fronts through our entire area. At least our in-house model showing some upper 50s up in the triad. Down here, some low 60s, which is actually a little bit below average. And then Sunday, if these are high clouds, this will be perfect. We'll be in the mid 70s with low humidity. We've got a big soccer match here in Charlotte at 3:30 on Sunday. U.S. national team is taking on Senegal. Their first game after they announced the roster, and this is a World Cup warm-up game here in Charlotte. So there'll be a lot of fans here in town. And it's pretty amazing to have a 3:30 kick for that, and it only be in the 70s and not pouring rain. That is a rare treat for the end of May and early June. Just another reason that game should be spectacular, because it could easily be like 90 or 95 degrees with sky-high humidity for that game.
Oh, 100%. And like I said, it'll be very nice. It's incredibly nice for this time of year. Sunday will be incredibly nice. Saturday's nice. Sunday's incredibly nice. And then we get to Monday, a little bit better moisture chances, maybe some better chance for scattered showers and storms towards the afternoon.
Yeah, that's certainly, if there's a day we're going to get better rain chances, I do think it's Monday. And those look like legit thunderstorm chances. I think, we've got some convection going there. Pretty good setup, because the timing in the middle of the afternoon, you see the southerly winds developing, so the moisture is trying to stream back north. It's once again that front kind of buckling back north again. And so it is weird. It's like stationary fronts are so odd, because your forecast can get thrown for a loop, because if it buckles back north, it's summer. If it goes back south, it's like dry. It's just, so we're going to have two of these little buckles on the front, one tomorrow and another one on Monday. Looks more substantial, and then another surge of drier air next week pushes in. So this has kind of been this battle, northeast flow and stationary front. But yeah, Monday to me looks to be the best chance of rain probably for a while. And I don't want to see a washout again like last weekend, but it is a little concerning. We just started making progress with the drought, Alex, and now it kind of looks like we're going back to a pretty dry pattern, especially after Monday.
Yeah, instead of seeing multiple days of rain chances, we're only seeing, one rain chance a week, which that's not going to help us when we're talking, we still have a double-digit deficit that we need to kind of get rid of, and we need rain chances persistent to do that. Pretty incredible that we did get as much rain as we did this past week, but we need more so we can continue to enjoy our lakes, because I know for a while they were a little low, and now they've kind of come back up a little bit so people can enjoy the lakes. That might be one of the differences too. With all the rain that we've had this weekend, people can enjoy more boating outdoors just because the lake levels have come up a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't seen how many ramps are opened. Some of the lake levels in the mountains in particular, in our area, Lake James, Lake Hickory, have come up significantly. Lake Norman, Lake Wadley, not as much. They're bigger lakes, and it takes a while for the water to trickle down. It's just not as much of a recovery. Just be careful. There is some debris out there as well because of the recent rain and some of the low water. I do want to mention this too, Alex. We've got kind of a cool astronomical event coming up on Sunday morning. Technically at 4:45 a.m. we get our second full moon in the month of May, which is often referred to as a blue moon, but there's a little, I don't want to call it an argument or discrepancy, but there's some purists who have another definition for a blue moon, which is the fourth full moon in a astronomical season. So a lot of folks will say this isn't technically a full, a second full moon in the month doesn't count as a blue moon. It has to be in an astronomical season. But I think this is a little rare because we had a full moon on the 1st and we're going to have a full moon on the 31st. That is really hard to do, have a calendar month with two moons that are full. So kind of a cool event. It doesn't look any different. You hear stuff about micro moons. It's that just means the moon's at its farthest distance. I always laugh at those, Alex, because you're not going to notice. If you look at the moon, it's going to look like the moon, right? All the comparisons you see, like the pictures, it's usually the worst thing they do is someone takes a supermoon, which is the closest and the farthest, and they compare it. Honestly, you should probably compare it to just an average moon. And if you saw them side by side, you wouldn't know the difference. If we didn't tell you this right now, you would just think it was a normal moon. So I kind of laugh at that, those micro supermoon things, because it's just a technicality. Nobody really notices.
Yeah, that's just for, again, like you said, the purists, right?
Yes.
They want the actual information there. Kind of neat. I mean, we couldn't have placed it better. The 1st and the 31st, and we fit May in between. So that's pretty neat. And then June 1st is the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. That'll be interesting.
And the start of meteorological summer, right? You know, we talk about astronomical seasons there a little bit, and I feel like I debate this all the time with people online, but for us meteorologists and climatologists in general, the season of summer starts on June 1st. And I know for a lot of folks out there, that's like breaking news to you because you're always used to astronomical seasons. It's on everybody's calendar. But for weather, it's always been this way for record keeping, Alex. And it really makes sense. It kind of lines up better with the temperature cycle. And just for record keeping purposes, it really does make sense to have the season start at the beginning of a month, because then all the data is kind of uniform.
Yeah, we get a lot of our climatological averages over a 3-month period. So it's important to have those 3 months. And so that's why we need June, July, and August, because we need 3 months to average the data over so we get those averages, those normals, and we can make comparisons for you all, right? Of just saying, hey, this is above average, this is below average. We need that 3-month period to be able to make those climatological normals.
And for folks in the Charlotte area, this is kind of a look at our meteorological summer. These are the averages. I think people are somewhat shocked that the average high at the beginning of summer is so low. It actually starts in the mid-80s, and the hottest part of summer for us in Charlotte, starting on July 1st through basically August 1st, which makes sense. It's the middle of the summer. Our average high is above 90 degrees. It peaks in the middle of July at 91. And then shockingly, by the end of August already, the average high is back down to 87. So sometimes it doesn't feel like it, Alex, but there is some difference between June, July, and August from a temperature standpoint. Obviously, July and August are the hottest, but sometimes June can start comfortable like it's going to start this year.
Yeah, so, and that's very nice, and probably a little bit of a rarity, but you can see in the numbers, it's not an impossibility.
Yeah.
So even though it's rare, it's not impossible, and hey, soak it in while you can, because I'm sure the muggies will be coming back with a vengeance here before too much longer.
Yeah, you can always count on it being hot and humid. That's why there's always a debate among people that love hot weather or warm weather and the people that love the cool weather. I'll be honest, I take the cool weather side sometimes because we get our fair share of hot, humid weather. It seems like the cooler weather is the more sparsely weather that we get around here. So if we get a chance to get it, you got to enjoy it because we know it's not going to last long. And we're always going to get hot and humid weather in the summer. It never fails. That's the one. It's not like snow in the winter, which sometimes never happens. Hot and humid weather always happens every summer. It's a given. It's like a guarantee. If there's one thing in weather guaranteed in the Carolinas, hot and humid weather in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And the muggies, and, I'm with you on that. I think I would err on I enjoy the cooler side of things just because it usually means drier air. It's easier to exercise outside.
Yes.
It's just more comfortable to be outside. Whether, when we start getting into the peak heating of the summer and you're just boiling outside, then you just go outside and you look for water immediately, right? Whether it's like a stream, a lake, or something to cool yourself off with.
Yeah, and with the drought ongoing, we probably want to see it stay as cool and comfortable as possible because that just drives up evaporation rates and water usage and everything. Real quickly, you mentioned also June 1st, the start of hurricane season. I think it sneaks up on people. They, all of a sudden it's like, hey, it's June 1st and it's hurricane season. We typically don't have a lot of systems early in the season, Alex. It's not unheard of, but it is interesting. If we do see an early season system, they tend to be these homegrown systems, which by that, they form closer to us, like in the Gulf, or they form off the East Coast on a stalled front. They don't come across the entire Atlantic Atlantic from Africa. That's usually a late season arrival, and they tend to be weak. Now, not always. In recent years, there's been some strong early season storms, but typically they're weak systems. So if we do see an early system, it'd probably be some kind of weird subtropical, tropical system that forms closer to home, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just the normal area of low pressure that starts to take on more tropical characteristics, and then just able to bring rain, right? We need rain. So
yeah.
it wouldn't be a bad idea to get one of those because that could really produce quite a bit of rainfall for us. But we'll just have to kind of see how the season plays out. I know there's a lot of talk about the Saharan dust and things like that and limiting factors. Of course, you've got the super El Nino that could be building in. So, and then you've got the warmer ocean temperatures that could help, push things. And, they're calling for slightly below average to average seasons. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's funny you said we need something like that. An early season tropical system would be like the perfect kind of setup because they typically are weak and they're just rainfall, and that would be kind of nice in the drought because later in the season, they're usually not weak by that time of the year. You mentioned the Sierra dust layer. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was looking at that today, and I'm going to bring it up real quickly on my computer here. A whole bunch of it looked like it came across the Atlantic here recently. Whoops, I just lost it, and was starting to push into the Gulf. So trying to shut off any development down there, and that's one of those things that it kind of ebbs and flows, Alex, and sometimes you see a bunch of it and you wonder, why is it so quiet out there? It usually is because we got a bunch of wind shear or a bunch of dust, and then all of a sudden it goes away and we get an active period. So that's one of those things, like week to week you can kind of forecast and look at. You couple that with the strong El Nino, it really does feel like, man, it may be a struggle to get something going early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, it would, like you said, it would be nice. And we've talked about it. Keys to taking out the drought would either be a stalled out front, which we've kind of had, and that's what brought all the rain chances this week. So that's one of the mechanisms. But the second mechanism is a tropical system that could bring us some much needed rainfall through the summer season. So it'd be nice to get one of those homegrown seasons. But like you said, just with the dust there, the higher wind shear, and then, maybe the Bermuda High stacking up over us and just blocking everything, it'll be difficult to get that grown.
Yeah, that's a lot of dust early in the season. That'll be interesting to see. Real quickly, we're almost out of time, Alex. Going into the weekend, anything you're telling your viewers and followers going into the weekend that they should be ready for weather-wise?
Yeah, I just said, hey, if you're headed to the Charlotte, heading south, watch out for some of those scattered showers, and then just enjoy the weekend. It's going to be very nice. We'll get a break from the humidity and some cooler temperatures into Sunday. Better rain chances would be Monday. So just enjoy the weekend, really.
Yeah, it is going to be a great weekend. A lot of folks had the weather last weekend and weren't able to enjoy all their outdoor activities, so maybe save them for this weekend. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. We've got more news coming up after the break.